Welcome to the Bureau of Citizen Detectives, the officially unofficial podcast for Yellowjackets on Showtime. I'm Jim.
I'm A.Ron.
And today we're talking Season 2, Episode 6, titled Key. A.Ron, that means who or whom in French, as I understand it. Any idea what that title refers to? Because I'm at a loss.
I saw someone, because there's this scene where the girls, right before they fantasy, in Shauna's fantasy, eat her baby. She's awoken to the strange humming noise, and apparently someone sleuthed down, or I didn't really sleuth at this, asked one of the showrunners on Twitter what they were humming, and he responded that they were humming the French song Qui, from Charles Aznavour. And I looked at the lyrics just before we recorded, and it's interesting. It seemed so on the surface. And it's tough because it's a song and it's translated. It's machine translation too, so who knows? But it seems like it's an older man mourning the loss of a youthful relationship that she's gone on to replace him, and he's wondering who is replacing me, who is going to come and care for you when I'm gone, and this and that. But I also thought it was interesting that it felt like, other than the first paragraph or the first stanza, it could be like a parent talking to a newborn child, like wondering who this person is, the realization with your mortality that they're going to have an entire act where they, that you're not even going to, it's like my eyes will have closed, but the whole eyes of the world to be on you, I'm going to be gone, and who's going to be there to take care of you? So it's like, I think that's the spirit, like that's the kind of like cockeyed use that they're using this, that it's Shauna having all these things about like, who are you going to be, and everything's going to be right if we can just get out of here, and it's all pointless. None of it matters because,
yes. Well, I mean, you got Callie in here too. I think that's where, things start to come back into focus. But yeah, what'd you think of this episode? They kind of pull a switcheroo at the end.
I loved it because, we were talking about all the different wilderness baby theories. The wilderness baby is stillborn. The wilderness baby is slid right into a crock pot. The wilderness baby is fine, actually, and grows up and becomes some mystery person. Or the wilderness baby is Lisa, actually, because of a bunch of reasons. And I like how they I felt like every one of those theories was alive, very much alive. In fact, when they woke up in the humming and she goes down, they're overcome by hunger and they're eating her baby. I'm like, oh my God, they even the slid directly into the crockpot theory is actually panning out. But I think where they ended is, interestingly, the most grounded thing. The idea that these kids are going to, half starving, raise a baby and everything's going to be fine, and they're going to, even the delivery itself is fraught with peril without intervention of modern medicine. I liked it. And it's also really interesting from the Lottie aspect, right? Because I was thinking throughout most of the episode, oh my God, Lottie and her group is going to be insufferable because everything was going to shit. They make a blood sacrifice. Suddenly, Sean is able to have this baby. She's able to feed this baby. Lottie's saying this baby's going to change everything, and it's like they're going to be able to take credit, which is frustrating because obviously it's like, well, if they hadn't done, there's no way to test a case of them doing nothing and then Shauna just pulls through, right? But now that they did all this cult shit and it blew up in their face, I wonder if the opposite will anyone's faith be shaken? Because it's interesting because I can easily see everything changing because everyone had so many hopes based on this baby and getting Shauna through it okay. And Lottie's like, we're going to accept this into her trial. And there's so much importance placed on this, and it all just at the end. How do these girls process that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I like that aspect of it. I thought, go through all this trouble to have this baby in the show, and then you do probably the least interesting thing with it, which is just to have a diet birth. A little disappointed in that, but I think it's outweighed by the fact that you now throw the whole spiritual leader question under the microscope, and I think that's probably for the best. It's probably a little more interesting than, will they or won't they eat the baby?
There's a long history here. If you're a long time Bald Move fan, you might know that Jim has been rooting for a baby to be eaten.
Yeah, or
since
to
about
eat
season
someone.
3 of The Walking Dead, I think. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or
the
baby could
the zombie eating somebody. Yeah,
the baby could also eat someone else. Yes, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something you've been actively rooting for, and you almost get there.
I know. I keep picking the shows.
Thwarted.
Seems like they want to do it, but nobody has the guts.
Nobody's got. Yeah.
And it was a little disappointing to see, this was all a dream. But, it gives some indication of Shauna's mental state. And just, the kind of coming to terms with being a mother in that sequence. And how, resistant she was to it when it was just kind of the idea of being a mother. And then how kind of open she became to it over the course of that fantasy sequence. And I don't know if that carries over, because there's also the accompanying scenes where she's talking with Matt Siracusa, fake confessing to being a bad parent and never wanting Callie, and just being like, and never wanting to be married to Jeff, and all that, like, is kind of caught up in the same feeling that she has. And I don't know where she really lands on that, because Shauna is such an enigma. Especially like future Shauna, current day Shauna.
You mentioned that the baby dying during childbirth is the least interesting thing. And I guess you're right. It's the least kind of salacious. But also, like, this show's got a really tough balancing act between, keeping it grounded enough to where people are still invested in whether this is a supernatural mystery or not. But also, like, it definitely plays with subversive and it finds a lot of dark humor in things. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they went right into, like, the eating the baby, or, like, does anyone wanted to hear 3 or 4 more episodes of, like, this loudly screaming infant getting weaker and weaker as shot? It's like, mm-hmm. You can cross a line where, like, suddenly it's not as easy to laugh at the show, or you can't switch back and forth between that tone so effortlessly. So, like, I guess it is what you saw the least interesting, but also preserves this delicate balance. And I also think it's going to engender a lot of interesting extra cult dynamics, because it felt like the whole like if Shauna is fine, and the baby is fine, and, like, people miraculously starts feeding, and Shauna's making milk no problem, like, I don't see how anyone just doesn't get on. Like, even Coach Ben is going to be like, fuck it, let me start worshiping the Antler Queen. I want to see my boyfriend, damn it. And I
thought that was the interesting part. Like, they've been setting up this Lottie as the spiritual mother and the de facto mother of this baby, and how she's talking about, this is our baby, not Shauna's baby. I thought that was super interesting and a compelling dynamic in the group, and that's just totally gone now. So I don't know. You lose one thing, you gain another, I guess. I think it is interesting to make her look like she's not the spiritual leader that people might have thought she was.
Well, and it's like, boy, they're really playing the game on both timelines, too, because just as, like, you think doubt is going to set in the cabin, all the Yellowjackets get together back on her wellness center, and the drone shot of them all greeting and seeing that this is all taking place on the cult symbol is like, like I said, it seems like in the flashback scenes, they play this game where, like, Lottie is becoming this Antler Queen, and she's got all these, and then, like, in the adult, Lottie is very unsure, and she's going to her therapist it's like, I wonder if they're playing that deliberately. So as the, like, young Lottie waxes and wanes in her queenhood or whatever, the adult Lottie does the opposite. Because there's a lot of did you see any of the mirror theory stuff on Reddit this week? There's I don't know what to make of it, but there's, like, this theory that, like, there's constant mentions of mirrors and mirror imagery, and even deliberate stuff like Ty and Evil Ty using reflections to kind of, like, gauge that. And the idea that, like, through the looking glass or the mirror universe in Star Trek, that there's this idea of, like, a good timeline where good things happen, and then there's a bad timeline where bad things happen. That's, like, a very tropey way to interpret
play with that a little bit
in Star Trek
with like Van, right, living this living in the past in a certain way, but not in the past that happened.
But this idea that there is some kind of mirror universe where the girls understand that like the timeline's not right. Like this wasn't supposed to happen. We should have had we shouldn't have had our lives stolen from the gun. And there's a surprising amount of like references to, like the looking glass and looking in a mirror, and it's like a mirror staring back at me throughout the season so far. So they might be playing with something like that. Like there's a timeline that could be repaired, which kind of goes into dark territory too. Like Netflix is dark, not just thematically.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Or like a Back to the Future where it's like, there's a timeline that got fucked up and now bad things are happening. We got to fix the timeline.
Yeah, could be. Well, we got a lot to recap, man. Why don't we get into it?
Let's do it.
It's a traditional Yellowjackets episode. It's very timey-wimey in its scenes and its editing style. So we're going to start in 1996. It's before the crash. Coach is showing his class a video about babies and birthing, and Misty is paying attention. Jeff just wants to hook up with Shauna again. And then we go back to the wilderness where Shauna is in labor. I really enjoyed getting back to, some sense of normalcy and just seeing these kids be kids. Randy's the worst. Randy's like, Frank Reynolds' character, Dr. Mantis Toboggan.
Yes.
Always Sunny. When I'm listening to Randy talk, it's like hearing him go on about his monster condom for his Magnum dong.
Right.
I love that episode. And Randy's emulating that here.
Yeah, just like you can probably remember your health class and they're watching this video of a baby. And I gotta say, watching a human birth is kind of horrifying.
Yeah,
I've been there.
I've never had the misfortune.
The babies aren't cute. They're discolored. They're misshapen. They're covered in blood and gore.
Yeah,
just either grabbed screaming from a birth canal or ripped right out of the belly. It's some fucked up repugnant shit.
And that's when it goes right.
Yeah. And the fact there's 16 and 17-year-olds, then I guess that's what they need to know, right? But they're watching a health class. I just love the scene where it's like the baby kind of gooshes out and they're just like, they might have digitally added some viscera splashing, but then all the kids going, I just thought that was something really funny. And I also thought it was ironic that Shauna, in discomfort of like Jeff trying to hit on her in class, like pieces out right as someone who the one person who's going to be pregnant in a crisis situation is just like, nah, fuck this video, I'm walking out. And Misty, who is all about it, wanting to know how much blood there is. It's a really good setting for this particular episode.
And it makes perfect sense that, the kids would all look to Misty for help. She's been kind of their medic here in the woods, but also they had to have noticed that she was taking notes back when they were watching these videos.
Can we have a serious conversation about condoms real quick?
All right.
Because this is the har you can put a condom over someone's head, so like nobody, like it's ridiculous that like, but for the young men in the audience, it's actually worth checking out the size statistics on, if you want a comfortable fit. If you want a comfortable fit. If you don't want fit. Like,
you don't want,
because I wouldn't say it's comfortable to wear a condom on your head. It feels like it's like a giant rubber bing is constricting your skull and it gives you a head. So like, there is different sizes and there's places online. If you actually look up like condom sizes on Google, and you had the wherewithal to like measure your own dick and find out what would actually fit you, it might be worth checking out. Just saying. The one size fits all Durexes and stuff from Walt, that's all well and good. The shit that comes out of the quarter machine, fine. But if you want a tailored fit, it's out there for you. Just saying.
They need to just do it like heat shrink tubing, where you can just like run a lighter over it and shrink it down to the size you need.
That's what we need. 3D printed latex. You just need to just stick your dong in a laser grid and it just prints out the perfect like one.
With dental apparatus, right?
You're right. Invisalign. Yeah.
Sure.
A VisiShield for willies. Yes, that's what we need.
Totally.
We need one more. Stupid euphemism for penis.
Dingus? Your dingus.
There you go. Dong. Got it.
Yeah. All right. Current day, Misty hands over her possessions to enter Lottie's compound. Boy, she's got a lot of stuff in her bag, man. Binoculars. She's got this jar of honey she bought. Some jam that she just got on the side, because why not? Some conditioner. Change purse. Handcuffs. Brass knuckles.
There we go. That's where we're getting to the weird stuff. Yeah.
Her name badge, hand sanitizer, and then she throws in at the very end a syringe and a vial of something. Do we know what that's for?
Do you think that she just has a vial of fentanyl or something that she just I have a plan to kill everyone I meet?
Kill and or subdue, yeah. I think so. I wonder if that's protection from Walter, depending on what he was going to try and do.
I just wonder if that's her everyday carry.
Probably, yeah.
She's just I have a vial here that could kill 1,000 people if I dosed it outright to everyone's water. And it just seems like she, even if she never used it, would appreciate having that power.
Oh, yeah.
The power of life and death.
She also has to give up her phone, which is not easy for her, but she does. And then she's taken to the compound inside, and she meets Lottie, tells her that she's here to get Natalie. And Lottie asks her to stay a while.
Yeah, Lottie has a moment. Do you think she's communing with the wilderness?
I don't know exactly what's going on in her head, but clearly, her symptoms are bothering her. She's
it's like when
headaches or...
Ben Kenobi sags against the Millennium Falcon hull and it's I felt a great disturbance. It's that's the performance she's giving here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she could be experiencing something in connection with Misty. I don't know.
I thought it was also interesting how Charlotte's very imperious in the scene. Misty's talking to one of her acolytes and she just goes up and says, "Leave us." That's very... Mm-hmm. That's very royal speaking.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, she's the cult leader. And apparently Misty and Natalie are celebrities.
She's the director of the wellness center, Jim.
Yeah, the cult leader. That's what I said. So we go over to Shauna getting a call from the cops, and they ask her and Callie to come down to the station for questioning. And a frustrated Shauna says, "You know what? This probably would have been a lot easier if Callie had just slept with the cop so that everything would be inadmissible."
And I could have got my internet points. Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew in this scene that I thought she was going to go and try and sleep with Officer Syracusa to make that a reality. Mm-hmm. Turns out she's just going to lie about it later, but...
Or is she?
Very good questions.
Let's not talk about it just yet.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there, but I have questions around that scene too.
This fucking show, man, I tell you, it's both sides of its mouth.
Mm-hmm. Let's go back to 1996, where all the girls want Misty to tell them what to do about Shauna's labor. Misty freezes up, and Akila takes the lead. And then Lottie tries to take over, but Taissa tells her it's not helping. We don't need your bullshit right now.
Yeah, she's offering wilderness hope to let the pain open yourself up to this moment. Oh my god, it's the thing is all of Lottie's shit is just basically aware. It's very much just stuff that you'll hear, basic awareness training and reframing, refocusing type of self-help verbiage.
Yeah,
it does feel like she's started
smashing her head into a window and speaking in tongues, right?
Yeah, I mean that's but that stuff she got from Mary Jane. What's the Janie Lynn, the late Laura Linney. What the fuck was the
Jane
Christian
Austen?
girl that blew up in the plane?
Oh, Laura Lee. Yeah,
Laura Lee. These two name having motherfuckers. It's I feel like she just grabs anything that she's personally seen benefit for as resonated, and she's just wrapping it up into this kind of new age wilderness stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, with a hint of with a hint of devil worship. When you start pouring your blood onto bear skulls, that's where it crosses the line. Chanting around the bloody bear skull with all of your tokens placed on it.
It's pagan for sure. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable calling it Satanist, but it's certainly some woods witchery for sure.
Yeah. I've seen The Witch. I know all about it.
That's more blatantly satanic, sure. But if Black Phillip shows up, then sure. Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right, let's get back to current day where Nat is doing some target practice to take out her frustrations over having driven Travis to his death. And then she unloads, no pun intended, everything on Lisa, who tries to tell her that it's not her fault, but Nat's pretty set on blaming herself and the team, really, just like all of them. Says this is more of the we brought it back with us kind of stuff.
What's your opinion on having a gun range at a wellness center? People who are suicidal, you're taking away all of their shoelaces and their brass knuckles and their handcuffs, but have a fully equipped gun range, you know?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. That's a little wild. What do they need with guns?
I don't know.
That strikes me as some like prepper cult shit.
It's a little David Koresh, yeah.
Yep.
It's a little the ATF might show up with Janet Reno and we might need to just have an apocalyptic showdown with the government kind of, yeah, for sure.
If she starts talking about sovereign citizenry or something, then I'll be worried.
Her rights as a traveler of the land, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She starts really talking about which flags have gold fringe on them and which one don't. It's a dead giveaway.
The thing that struck me is Nat has turned into a terrible shot with this rifle. She can't hit cans from 30 feet away with a rifle. Whereas we know in the wilderness, she was kind of a crack shot.
A crack shot, yeah. I wondered that too. Is that like just to show, is this another mirror image where it's like, as the youth is competent, the adult is incompetent and vice versa? Or is it just showing that like Nat just has really put this behind her and has just been full-time party, live fast, die young mode? Yeah,
maybe.
No time to practice marksmanship. And why? I guess why would she?
Yeah, well, what's the need? To me, it kind of indicated like her sort of out of control. She feels very out of control, and I feel like she's trying to recenter herself with this practice. But it's not working. She's very much missing the target here.
And we keep on, and there's like, is she echoing things that Shauna said? Yes, because Shauna had the same framing when she was coming out to her daughter. It's like some of the things that, we saw, and she corrects herself, we did. And I think she even says, I did. It's kind of interesting how they start with like this third person type of language where it's like, oh, it's some person and something and it happened to somebody at some time, to like a little bit more take ownership over it. Mm-hmm. Like, the things we saw, that's very passive. The things we did out there is much more direct, and the things I did is ultimate, like, accountability. I think it's interesting to see which members are playing that kind of game.
Yeah, and I think, like, talking about the team as a group is interesting because kind of ties them all together thematically, but spiritually, it's like, the ones who came out of this must have come to some kind of understanding, because we know that a lot of them get eaten and chased down and killed. So the outsiders probably would have been all killed. So they must have come together at some point and done this together as a group.
Yeah. I think the rituals and stuff we saw earlier in season 1 point at that too. But like, it's also, I think, something that the girls, like this we talked about, like nobody would begrudge them eating their teammates if that was the only way to survive. Yeah. But as we've seen in the flashbacks and some of the things that they established in season 1, like this went beyond just eating for survival, and it went into it started to become a way of life. Yeah. A culture of hunting their fellow people for sport. And that's what's going to be really interesting to see. Is this something that they are? Because it's also, I'm somewhat open to the idea that like they're just torturing themselves. that like, you know, because most people that have done quote unquote bad things think that they've done uniquely bad. If anyone ever found out about it, that'd be it for them. They'd never be loved. And when in reality, when they finally, you know, get the right support group, it's like, oh shit, this is super common. And me feeling bad about this has really kept me in this cycle, right? But I don't know, like, so it's like it's I wonder if, like, you know, because they also have done so much stuff with like a different point of view, or like not necessarily being a reliable narrator of the facts. That's like, for example, let's say, how do we know that they hunted a girl into a pit? Because we've seen them also dine in like Greco-Roman togas on a dead girl's corpse. But we know that it didn't literally really happen. Like, what if we saw things in the beginning of season 1 that we just weren't conditioned to accept that they were like fantastical? Like, did these girls really like transform Power Ranger style when they put this stuff, or is this just like how they're seeing themselves at this moment because they're in this deep shared delusion?
Yeah, I suppose it's possible. Doesn't feel super satisfying to me, and maybe they can bring it around. Maybe they can, you know, make that the
I can
point
see it as a way to like have agency over themselves. It's like, we're not slowly eating the corpses of the people who aren't making it because of various, you know, reasons, because they're starving or they're, you know, they're dying because of poison, they ate something bad. We are intentionally making choices, and we're huntresses and things. So it's like, I could see it. It's like, you know, they're refactoring these bad things that are happening as things that they're doing, but you know, these are plays that are going to play off like in the final moments of the final season, if they're ever revealed at all, you know. So
totally. And they got a lot of groundwork to lay to get me to accept that,
right?
Because right now that would just feel like a huge rug pull. But you know, if they can thematically bring it around, maybe they could do something like that. All right, Van tells Taissa what happened when Dark Tai came out, that she tried to kiss Van and said, "This isn't where we're supposed to be." Tai has some questions about that which I also do. Van tells Taissa that this is as far as their new thing, their old thing, whatever is happening here can go, and Tai notices the overdue bills in her trash can. Here's the thing. Van doesn't seem as resistant to this. She talks a big game, but she is not acting. She's not backing it up with acts, because like Tai's Van says, well, this is as far as it can go. You're married. You gotta leave and go do your thing. Tai's like, well, maybe I should go then. And Van says, well, why don't you stick around and stock these tapes? You know, that's not what you say when you want somebody to leave. When somebody volunteers to leave and you want them to leave, you say, yeah, it's probably best. It's not what she does here.
Interesting, because you're right. That's exactly. I was like thinking that like Van is just really kicking and, you know, like fighting this, kicking and screaming, but also having a hard time just shutting Tai down because of their shared history. And then she gets to Lottie, and it's just like everything clicks together. But you're right. There is this. Yeah, like the second Tai's like, you know what? Maybe I should be going. She could be, yeah, that's exactly right. Get the fuck out of here, and all this stuff. But she doesn't. No, she
invites her to stay a little bit longer and do the tapes. So
and it also,
there's something still there between them for sure.
Plus,
and
it does seem like she's been lonely. She hasn't had a healthy human relationship in a long while. So like, there's got to be at some level some of that fascination, right?
Yeah, and this is what I've liked about the show so far, is like this team feels very much like they have this shared experience. They're the only ones they can talk to. And then Tai comes out here and she's talking to Van like the only person who could understand what she's going through. And I think to some degree that's true. So like Van might feel that the only person who could ever love her again, like you said earlier, right? Like she's not maybe worthy of anybody else's love, but Tai's been through the same thing. Tai knows how she feels and why they did what they did. And she's probably a lot more comfortable with that feeling, that vibe, than somebody off of Tinder or whatever, Grindr, who the fuck knows.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, you're right, like with the facial scars, the psychological scars, like at what point when you're dating do you whip that out? And like that's got to be like it's got to turn off a lot of people. It's like, well, you know, when I was a teenager, I ran around, was in a cannibal cult, and I got my face half ripped off by a wolf, and haven't slept a full night in 25 years, but I'm ready for it'd be, whereas someone that just gets it, it's like, oh yeah, we tied each other in our sleep because you would go and commune with the devil. If I didn't, or you try to walk yourself off a fucking cliff, like, yeah, that
and then we both
is
ate a piece of Jackie. You ate her face. I mean, that's probably pretty bad, but I ate some of her too.
There's a comforting familiarity there for sure.
Yeah. And she won't acknowledge it, but it's definitely coming through in her actions. 1996, Misty nopes out on helping Shauna because she's so traumatized by what happened with Crystal. Natalie tries to tag in the coach, but he sees how much blood there is. He also nopes out.
Guys, I've never even seen an adult woman's vagina. I'm out.
Yeah,
I didn't sign up for this. I didn't join this team. You breeders need to figure this shit out.
They finally tag in Aquila, and Travis decides, you know what? I'm going to make a blood sacrifice to the bear skull, and Lottie's group joins him. Whoo, boy. So there's the very obvious and literal blood on Misty's hands, which, is fairly like tropey as far as a visual goes. But I did see a fairly interesting
Lady Macbeth, yeah.
Yeah, I did see a fairly interesting discussion around this on Reddit as to like why Misty might be stalking her teammates in the future as some sort of make good for destroying the transponder. Like if she, because obviously what she's feeling here is all brought on by like Crystal judging her, right? You've done a terrible thing. You have blood on your hands. And it's not just in this moment, but she has blood on her hands because she's kept them here. So every death, every bad thing that happens here is kind of on her. And so in the future, if she feels extremely guilty about this, which I think she does in this moment at least, then she might be going around trying to keep these people safe, just why she's stalking them, why she's keeping tabs on all of them.
Yeah, that tracks. There's like this intense feeling of personal responsibility for the collective safety of the group that she is there. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Now here's the one thing that like I'm not sure how they're going to get there, because Misty seems to get over this feeling pretty quickly here. She has her moment where she breaks down, she feels all this guilt, and then it just kind of washes away when I think Lottie talks to her later. And then she snaps back to being Misty. So how often does she have these breakdowns? How much does this guilt drive her conscious actions? I don't know, but we may see more of that.
What'd you think of is it Aquila consulting with Nugget?
That was weird. What?
I saw a funny joke that she was going to slip the cat and mouse under her winter cap, and it was going to deliver the baby Ratatouille style.
God.
Come on, Nugget! I haven't even. I'm just JV. I haven't even got to see the sex ed thing. Just get up here and go to work. But a lot of women I saw were really skeeved with the consulting the pocket mouse and then immediately right into the birth canal.
Look, we all have the things we draw strength from. For Aquila, it's a pocket mouse. For Travis and Lottie, it's sacrifices to potentially the devil.
Yeah.
For Misty, it's just being a psychopath. I don't know. I don't know what that was about. I will say, speaking of blood on your hands, why do characters in shows always cut their hand open when they need to swap blood or sacrifice blood or do anything with blood? They cut the most sensitive. That's the last place I would want to get a cut on my body, is the palm of my hand. Back of the arm, top of the leg, something that sees a lot less use would be my preference.
I've heard two theories about this. One is the practical, which is like a lot of these blood sacrifices were supposed to, it's like a lot of times when you're seeing people slit their hand open, it's all to take some kind of solemn oath, And it's like you do your weapon hand so that like you're not going to lift up a sword against whoever you're doing for a couple days or weeks until your thing clears. So it's like almost like a guarantee. And that a sacrifice should hobble you at some point, or it's not a sacrifice. But then there's also fourth wall breaking one, which is in the early days of stage. If you wanted a character to let blood ritually or something, the easiest thing to do is give them something in their hand that they could then run a fake knife over, slit open, and then let dramatically pour from their palm as they squeeze the bag that has the blood or whatever. So it's like, that made a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And here we are in the age of fucking Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
With hundreds of millions of dollars worth of CG, and we still have to cut our own hands open. What are we doing?
Yeah. I also in these circumstances, I like it when when Ty says women have been having babies for millions of years. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
This is true, but just don't cite the infant and mother mortality rate pre-Industrial Revolution, because it's pretty horrifying. And
women have also been dying in childbirth for millions of years.
That's exactly right. And boy, I tell you, it's like, did Hollywood just find out about like birth trauma this year? Because how many goddamn scenes of terrible
in House
childbirth, going back to House of Dragon, The Last of Us, now Yellowjackets. Like, it's a bad time to be an enjoyer of dramatic television and pregnant. Or be because like it's all bad. It's only the bad things that can happen.
True. The other thing I
hearts
noticed
go
here,
out to you, moms. It's and coming up on Mother's Day. It's an affront.
Yeah. We were talking like this episode was going to hit on Mother's Day. It's next week. I don't know when Mother's Day is. Like, I don't keep track of those things because I'm not
Sunday.
A mother and I officially don't have a mother. So like, yeah, it's apparently this weekend. I thought they were going to time it to coincide with the birth, but that
it would have been a real
cruel
kick in the crotch to air over Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. Still don't know why we took a hiatus.
I want to say one last thing about this scene. There's something clearly developing here between Lottie and Travis, right? Because Lottie isn't the one who starts the blood sacrifice. Travis is. So he's clearly believing in whatever Lottie's got going on. And then later we know that he calls her, not Nat, when he's about to, right before his death, right? When he's like in trouble, wants to experience the darkness. He calls Lottie.
And also, this isn't a new thing. It's something that's been building. Like, we've seen sex scenes between Travis and Nat where like Lottie is a weird third party to it. And ever since the Doom coming, there's been some kind of psychosexual spiritual connection that is pulling Travis in that direction away from Nat. And as you mentioned, it clearly continues on into their adulthood, that like it's weird that like Travis calls, or like Nat gets with Travis and they end up using and they're self-destructive, but Travis calls Lottie when he actually needs help.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know if that was, all that went on here in the wilderness and then it kind of went away when they got back to the real world. And, Lottie's visions were being treated and all this, and she's being giving shock treatments. And
I'm not even sure. I said it's psychosexual, but like it also could be like a mother energy that she's giving him.
In a weird, like, Freudian kind of way. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to go back and think about the scenes. Like, do I think it's psychosexual only because it's in conjunction? It's always in opposition of him and Nat having a physical relationship. But
yeah, maybe.
I don't know. The way she said that, like, the wilderness recognizes your sacrifice, and I do too. It's kind of like, I'm proud of you. Like, it felt more like a mother-son type of thing. And the comfort, because that's what she offers Travis, comfort and succor.
And when they were trying to have sex with him during the Doom coming thing, Lottie wasn't one of the ones actively up on him, right? She was just kind of overseeing the thing, I think.
Yeah, it was more. Yeah,
it was like Shauna
and
Jackie. I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think Lottie was more like the ringleader in that, not participant.
And Nat wasn't one of the participants too, because she avoided the
She was
mushrooms.
with Coach, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. They didn't avoid that. That's right. They
No,
both
she was
started
just
realizing
off with him.
Gotcha.
No, they both tripped too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the current day. Lottie tells her therapist that the darkness is drawing her back to her past. She's worried that it's all real and that they brought it back with them. Her therapist seems to misunderstand what she's feeling here. She has to correct her. No, I'm not worried that my illness is returning. I'm worried that I was never ill to begin with. And all this is real.
Why do they not show us this substitute psychologist face?
I don't know. Because they already have once, right?
It's got to, but like, yeah, once it's like, okay, well, maybe they just didn't have the actor, whatever. But like 2 times is definitely something you notice.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that... Okay, I think the last time this happened, we talked about, like, could there be some conspiracy? Is there someone behind the scenes that, like, would pull her psychologist away and all that? And like, I don't know about that. But now that we're going a second session without seeing her face, I wonder if, like, she's even getting therapy, or if, like, we're gonna later understand that she's talking to herself, or maybe even talking to herself in this guise of the queen that she just doesn't recognize yet. And this is the person who is giving her the runaround, who's refusing to up her medicine. It's herself.
Interesting. Kind of like that.
I like it better than the shadowy conspiracy cabal.
Yeah.
But there might be elements of that too, because I do buy that Dark Ty has kind of hijacked Thaisa and her maybe political machine to get some of this, and like yeah, like what is the cause? What was the first cause? What is causing all this to happen again? And I keep coming back to most likely thing is either Nat and Travis's near-death experience, allowing them to commune with the wilderness again, or Ty's campaign, her doing like innocent background, trying to essentially catfish her friends into seeing which ones will spill the goods on, doing background research on herself. That fucked it up. But something started this up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possible option here because I look back at the beginning of this series, and like the inciting event here in the current day is getting these envelopes with the symbol on them, right? And several of the people got them. We now know that Lottie is kind of still holding on to that symbol. At least I think it's intentional. Like the compound here, the wellness center, if you will, being set up in the shape of that symbol, that's not a coincidence, right? Or do you think...
It can't be.
Okay. I feel like it's something Lottie did intentionally, and then that makes me think that she was the one who sent these cards out, but I'm not certain about that.
Jeff sent the cards out, right? Like, that was an intentional blackmail thing that he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, that's the other inciting thing. It could just be dumbass Jeff, wanting to get a business loan, and he's doomed them all into calling back to wilderness. Yeah, it's Jeff and Randy.
Yeah. All right, yeah. That seems like the funniest option.
But like at the end of this conversation, this psychologist is not willing to up her medication. Then I don't know, because she is talking. I mean, some of the unhinged faces she makes too, when she's like, are you worried that it's not real? No, it was real. Like there's.
Yeah, I'm worried that
talking about it being a god, the power of the place. It's stuff that, yeah, she definitely needs something to handle these delusions she's having, but it's not gonna happen. She's talking to herself, or I don't know. She's talking to the wilderness.
Let's go over to Misty. She's sitting in a drum circle while one of the cultists bawls her eyes out about an ex. She declines an invitation to join in, but she reveals that she knows Natalie, and the others are suddenly interested and she begins telling them all stories, I guess. I wonder what kind of things she told them about Natalie. They don't really get to that.
Yeah, it's there's something, I don't know. I feel like that with Lisa, they introduced these people of having serious problems. And that Lottie's given him, but like this scene, I felt like undermined that because I felt like all the people were fundamentally unserious. Like there's this drum circle and there's this girl sobbing about and you think it's like, okay. Then this guy starts talking about how he has experience because he had this horse meat business breakup with his brother-in-law, and then as soon as she mentions that she knows Lottie in another life, that girl instantly stops crying and has this kind of look of like rat. Like I this scene kind of makes me think that like a lot of these people are just have fairly minor problems that they're just having a hard time coping with, and that says something different about Lottie's retreat than if they were full of people like Lisa, who has like really traumatic relationships with their parents, multiple suicide attempts, et cetera, et cetera. I got a guy who is butthurt over his stepbrother's horse meat business, and a lady who is in the depths of despair right up until the point she hears juicy goss. I don't know. Am I crazy?
There's something less earnest about these people than the ones that I've seen before, and I don't know exactly what it is, because most of them are all about this wellness idea. These people are like, yeah, we do the wellness thing, but we're really here to get the hot stories about the celebrities in the group, right? We like to gossip, so that's why we're here.
There's something like they were written by an entirely different person. It's like this, they were writing these as sitcom characters. You know?
Whereas I didn't really feel that in previous episodes. This one was a little, and maybe it's just because they're interacting with Misty, and these are supposed to be,
you have to be broad
Misty
to stand
style
out
scenes.
against.
Yeah,
that might be too. But it
does break tone a little bit for sure.
Exactly.
All right, let's go back to 1996, where Coach is tormented by Shauna's screams. He flashes back to a game of charades with friends. For some reason, I have no fucking idea what they're doing with Coach in these flashback scenes. I got the first couple. I was like, okay, he's dreaming of a path not taken and a wonderful past that he could have had, a wonderful present that he could have had.
Because I also don't think this is a flashback. I think these are still him like, what if I had lived an authentic life and I hadn't gone on like it does feed a little bit into the mirror universe theory.
So there, yes, I have a massive question about this, because the way it's filmed, this almost looks like he's literally jumping back in time, like he's quantum leaping into this scene, because he puts his hands up to his ears and he's like braced and he can't stand it. And then the background behind him changes and you can see it happen. And he's still in that pose, like that pained expression. I don't know that he's not actually experiencing this stuff really physically.
Well, and it's also weird because like he's in his apartment, but then like as the delusion goes on, the apartment recognizably takes on parts of the cabin. Like you can see the windows are in the Canadian Rockies.
I didn't notice
the mantelpiece, I think the TV or whatever behind him turns into the fireplace and the mantle of the cabin, and the walls, like they still have the sconces and the like drapes and the paintings and pictures, but the walls are now like those slat board. So it's like they are doing something with this like heightened reality, and he's just like full on dissociating to get away from this nightmare and live, because I don't think he ever had like two other gay men over at his boyfriend's apartment and they're doing like, because that would be too close to getting out there. I think these are all things he regrets.
Possibly.
But you're right, like what the hell are they doing with him?
Right, I don't need them to continually reiterate this. I understand the Coach feels like he made a huge mistake by not living his truest life, and I don't need every episode to tell me that. So what are they doing with these scenes that's more than that? And when especially I see them starting to mess with reality, I'm like, oh, is there something bigger here?
Especially with the deliberate like VHS tape glitching and how that seemingly ties into, Van's core story. Like they're I'm not impatient with it because I think they're building to something.
I hope so. I hope it's not just, remember Coach has something to do here, right? Remember Coach is a character we need to service, because We kind of forgot about Javi in this episode, but that's probably warranted.
It would make sense for him to be the next one that goes because he is clearly outside the inner circle. Mm-hmm. He is not one of the, you know, the lady Yellowjackets.
He's not been useful in a long time.
Right.
Not simply because he doesn't have a leg, but because he's been so despondent and like he just doesn't have a huge role in this group.
Well, and in this episode, he's abdicating his role as adult. You know, like they come to him like, Jesus Christ, you're the adult, do something. He's like, nope, fuck it. Nope. Yeah. So like, that's the one thing he could do is be the adult. And I mean, I don't blame him.
Look what state Jackie was in right before she got it, right? She was the one who was just kind of sitting around watching all the other girls work and everybody was getting pissed at her. Right. She was abdicating her abdicating. Is that right? Her responsibilities. Yeah. So you can see the same thing happening with Coach here, and it's a bad look, and it might end up in him getting eaten. Who knows? Anyway, Misty breaks down over the loss of Crystal. Lottie grabs her and tells her that they need her to save their baby, and she jumps back into action on Shauna's birth. She tells Shauna it's almost over. Encourages her. We'll see if this sticks. You know,
I also wondered how much of this stuff is real. Like when she gives birth to but then I guess this is notes from my second watch where I hadn't gone back and done some research because it turns out that, like, because I was thinking like, God, she delivered empty after birth. What the fuck is that? But like, there's this condition called placenta prevera.
That's my favorite Italian dish. Yeah.
Right. A little sauteed in some olive oil and breaded. It's great. I thought this is a condition where the placenta, instead of where it's supposed to be, forms over the cervix. So it becomes kind of like a barricade to the baby being oriented correctly and coming through the birth canal safely. And since placenta is the thing that exchanges oxygen, if it gets delivered first and detaches, well, then the baby's in the birth canal for God knows how long without any oxygen supply. So it's like, I guess it's one of those things where it's like it's almost an auto C-section if you're in a hospital.
Which, of course, they can't do here because that's not going to help her.
Right. And the stuff with Misty, like this severe, like it seems like she's got this shell, this delusion that she operates under, where she's got this false bubbly personality and all that stuff. But then like you get to see when that cracks and she has to confront the reality, she like retreats into this like self-hatred that's shocking. That's like, oh, this is the thing you always do, and that's not, to put it mildly, not good, you know.
Not healthy.
Yeah, and I wonder how she's able to maintain this facade into adulthood, you know.
I feel like she dissociates a lot. She just kind of she snaps out of it in a weird way that feels very unhealthy, right? Like she's not dealing with the emotions she's feeling, she's just stops feeling them.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that Lottie's the one that gets her to buck up and get back in the game, you know? Like, what does that say about her trust in the wilderness? It's like, well, we're going to pray and listen to the wilderness and it listens to us, but also this person that paid attention to health class needs to get back in there and do some medical shit, damn it.
Yeah. I don't know. And the fact that it works on Misty, does that say anything about Misty's faith in whatever Lottie's got going on? I don't think so. I think Misty's pretty immune to that, but
I think it's more of like Chris or like Misty with this whole Kristen situation feels like she has lost her only thing of value or only external source of validation, and Lottie's like, hey, while you're out here, you are with us, like in every sense of the word, and like that belonging is what sends the got got Misty bucked back up and ready to jump back in.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, let's go back to current day. Shauna and Callie go to the police station. We're going to see Jeff's outside waiting for him. They're separated by Matt and Kevin for questioning. I was really shocked to find out that you can interrogate a minor without the consent or presence of their parents.
Is that true?
That's apparently true. The police have no requirements to even let the parents know that they're interrogating their children.
God damn.
In most circumstances.
Crazy.
I think there are some limited like criminal investigation.
Is the shit admissible? Because like if you're starting to sweat an 11-year-old over something,
right?
Like what couldn't you get an 11-year-old to confess to?
Yeah, probably not much.
Damn. Wow. Well, that's insane.
Yeah, because I thought Kevin was just off the deep end here. I thought Kevin was like, dude, you can't separate this girl from her parent and then interrogate her. Apparently you can. So this is going to come all the way around in this episode and be, I just have so many questions at the end about like, where are they going with this? Because it feels like a path you would chase down in another show that would not deal with like, that would not even bring up the topic of inadmissible evidence, because they wouldn't want to go there. They just want to keep all the narrative focused on like, are they going to get caught or won't they get caught? This show is bringing it up, but it's bringing it up in weird ways, because to me, all of this is inadmissible because it all came from a cop buying a 16-year-old girl a drink in a bar. That's highly illegal. You can't do that. So how is any of this admissible? All of this information stems from that.
I'm not sure how much you're allowed to do as an undercover officer. Are you allowed to buy kids liquor if you're doing like some kind of vice sting? I don't think they do it that way. Usually they get young-looking 22-year-olds and they walk because they're trying to get them on the technicality of anyone that looks under the age of 35 or whatever you're supposed to card.
It'd be hard to imagine that a guy in his off hours,
I thought so too,
running a hunch down would be considered a vice undercover operative.
Well, and they also set this up where Kevin, I think, thinks that Matt, I guess, Jay, is a loose cannon. Like at the end with the Callie thing, I think he medium suspects that maybe Matt might have done something crazy. Because,
all right, we gotta talk about that when we get there, because I do have questions.
Okay, I do too. And I also want to say that Matt is a fucking scumbag. The way he smiles at Callie, the way his whole demeanor in this investigation is he's not a skillful interrogator. I'm starting to think he's a shit policeman, honestly.
Oh yeah, he is. He's garbage at his job. So I'm so torn on him, right? Because I understand he's doing the right thing. Like, they did murder this guy. There's definitely something to it.
Yeah,
he's going about it in
completely
the wrong way, and he's just a shit. Look at his face, man.
I know, and that's the thing.
I hate him.
If being a smug asshole was the way to get criminals to confess and aid your investigation, I'd be all for it. Be smug, but it's not. It's not.
No,
it's not.
He just can't help himself. All right, Ty is stocking tapes and brings up Van's financial troubles. She offers to help her figure something out, but Van gets pissed off, tells her to mind her own business. Ty gets a call from Misty, who tells her about Lottie's Wellness Center, and she asks where it is, implying that she's going to go there.
The food is surprisingly great, and the BO factor very low.
Uh-huh. Good Sandy or bad Sandy? Where does Hope Floats fit?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, at the beginning of the scene, she's talking about, I forget what movie she's talking about, but it's Sandra Bullock. And she's saying, does this movie go in good Sandy or bad Sandy?
Gotcha. I don't know. It's interesting. What are they trying to tell us here with this failing business and Ty being a real estate lawyer, which is, that's weird. It's like a weird non sequitur, because she's like, well, you know, are you offering help?
She's
like,
lease. It's not.
Yeah, well, I'm a real estate lawyer, so I'm like, okay, like, how is that going to help my failing business?
Right.
You know, and like I said,
real estate lawyers aren't going to make VHS tapes popular.
Right. Yeah. No, I thought that was a weird, but it's like, are they saying that like maybe she should have been a person that she calls? Because like, oh, it's I don't know. This like it's weird, because it's like they don't need to cut back to the Van and Ty as much as they do in this episode, but they keep doing so. I keep on wondering why.
Yeah, I don't know why Van. Well, okay, so with Ty, I can understand why Van might be standoffish with accepting any help. I don't understand why she's so unconcerned with the failing state of her business, though, because I don't believe Van when she says that she can deal with this. I think her business is going under. It's going to be gone in a matter of months. Why isn't she looking to fix that situation?
I mean, it might not be that she's not trying to fix it. It might just be that, like, shit, man. I don't know. Why do people turn turtle when they're having financial problems? It's probably because they feel overwhelmed. They feel like there's no answer. Yeah. They feel like they're just going to double down and like keep doing, and that this is going to work out. But you know, yeah, like I'm as guilty as doing this kind of shit historically as anyone. Like at the end of it, I'm always like, why didn't I take more proactive steps to like address this rather than letting this impending doom hit? And like, I don't know, because it's like we're fucking monkeys, and we're not really designed to do this kind of like long range, like I need to call the bank and work out this or that. You know, it's like we're just not really set to do all this kind of stuff.
Totally. But the difference being your life is not a carefully tailored narrative.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
This
like all this
is, what are they trying to tell me?
Yeah. Yes. Like, again, I can explain all this stuff, but like, again, why am I seeing it? And why do we cut back? Like they could have cut back to them exactly once, which is the phone call, but they are, it's maybe they're suggesting that's a pattern in their life, that like Ty is the one that needs all this crazy help. But like Ty is the one that's always trying to make Van her project. And there's kind of like, there's something insulting about a person who came here in a fugue state, hitchhiking with a truck driver, being like, oh, I'm having a psychotic break and evil from the woods might be stalking us. What's all this past due bills? Like,
and how about that oxy?
What about your pill? Yeah, I was like, fuck off. I didn't call you for help. Right. You came here for help. Shut up. Yeah. But again, why? Why is this happening? I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it is to show us kind of because the thing that struck me about this is I keep seeing the show knock her down a peg, because at the beginning of this, when I see her running her store, I'm like, she's happy. She's doing what she loves. Look at her interacting with her customers. Look at her stocking her shelves. She's surrounded by the things that make her happy. And that keeps getting knocked down, right? She's taking the pills. She's got these overdue bills. She's out there trolling for pussy, essentially. Like,
she's taking her pills.
It's probably,
she's got overdue bills. It's the Van Show. I don't know. I'm sorry.
So they keep knocking her down, and I'm like, okay, that must be what they're doing here. They're showing us that underneath that veneer, this normal, cheery life that she sets up, nothing is actually okay. And so it's all going to break down here when they see Lottie.
It's all like a bunch of people refusing to confront the reality in front of them. Like Ty is having psychotic breaks. She's trying to be senator. Shauna's trying to have a normal family life while her, her husband is blackmailing her and her daughter is dating cops. And like, if you go down the line, like everyone is trying to ignore, except for Misty, everyone's trying to like ignore the big problems in their life and pretend like it's not happening.
Yep. All right. 1996, Lottie's group is doing her chanting bullshit, and even Ty is joining in as they try and help Shauna deliver her baby. Misty tells Shauna to push, and she does until she passes out, and then she wakes up, quote unquote, to everyone being happy for her and her brand new healthy baby boy, which they put in her arms.
This episode gives Return of the King a run for its false ending money. Like there's like 4 fade to blacks where I thought that the credits, it seems like it's kind of early, but sure, why not? It might have been an hour, but like, no. I was like, man, are they really going to make this a cliffhanger? Nope, they're not.
Yeah, and it'll do that a couple more times for sure.
But yeah, this is like everything from here to the end of the episode in this timeline is an extended death fantasy.
Death? I don't know. She's definitely passed out. I can't tell if she's like on the verge of death. I know there was a lot of blood.
They mention and she's unconscious. She lost a lot of blood. So there's another theory that, like, you know, that when people are having these near-death experiences, they have these visions, right? And it seems like there's also this ancient tradition. I think it starts with the Greek myth of Persephone visiting Hades, and she eats the 6 pomegranate seeds, and that, you know, if you eat something in an afterlife situation, it binds you to that place. And we see with Jackie, like when they invited her inside, she drank the hot cocoa. When Lottie was dying, freezing to death, she's almost sit down and have the Chinese food, and then Laura Lee or wherever, Sarah Lee, Little Debbie, is it Laura Lee? Did I get it right the first time?
It's Little Debbie, yeah.
Okay. Laura Lee says, nope, this isn't for you. Get the fuck out of here. You got to wake up. I think it's interesting that, like, in this kind of like purgatory state, in the dream world, her baby does eat, breastfeeds. Okay. And Shauna never does, and Shauna comes back.
What about all of the girls who eat the baby? Are they bound to something?
They're not in a POV, because all the other girls in the strip mall were eating Chinese too. It's just like it's whoever is the I guess having the death focus.
All right.
But you're right. Yeah, I just made 2 people the death focus, the baby and Shauna herself. I don't know. It's just I think there is something there about like people who go to this afterlife, they're on death's door. There's something critical about turning down the food, which might that might play into the actual subtext that's happening too, of like the people. Of course, the only one that's avoided eating humans at this point is Coach Ben, and he doesn't seem like maybe, and it doesn't seem like, ooh, you're right, he could have got some bone broth, picked over them bones.
All right, let's go to the current day again. Van drives Ty up to Lottie's compound and says she's just dropping her off, but then they start talking about her life, and Ty asks if she's happy. Van says she's given up on love, but it's not because of Ty. It's not because of Ty.
Not just Ty, because of Ty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think Ty is saying some accurate stuff about one of the Van's fixations, the VHS and all that stuff, is living in the past. And she owns to it. It's like, yeah, I like living in that time where, you know, we actually thought we had a chance to be happy, that we could have lived regular lives.
Yeah, instead of the past that actually happened.
And it's also rich for for Ty to drag Van for using apps and stuff, because like she's got the stereotypical close-knit nuclear family. Well, I guess not stereotypical, but you know, she's gotten married, she's having a kid, but is like, that made her happy? No fucking way. Like Van seems on average, of course she's about to lose it all, it seems like, but she seems on average like more happy than I would say Ty does.
Yeah, I mean, she's certainly more well-adjusted, because Ty's got this dark side that keeps her from
there's
sleeping
that too,
and tears off her pet's head.
They're so weird, because there's like a divide between the women, between like the active participants, like, and I'll put Lottie up there, I'll put Ty up there, like they're actually having some kind of supernatural experiences or delusions. And then the people who are like passive enablers or followers. Like Van, I don't think has seen, you know, like she's not getting talked to by the wilderness. Nat is like I think the most one. Shauna, these are the ones, like it's like you got the active doers and then the passive happen toers. And I wonder what significance all that has as well, because it seems like there's leadership positions in both. Like there is this Shauna and Nat axis and this Ty Lottie axis of the believer queens versus the non-believer queens.
And I like how fluid that stuff is too, because, you know, Ty was not on board with any of this. Ty was the most resistant to Lottie's bullshit at the beginning, and then in this episode we see her sitting next to Shauna as she's giving birth, chanting along with them, right?
And you could tell it's something that, like, it's a desperation move. Like she's tried to stay strong for Shauna. She's tried to be as of the last episode's conversation, she's trying to be on her side, stay on her team, but like, fuck it, we're losing her. So,
and she's just sitting in with Van on these prayer sessions, right?
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Nothing serious. But then when shit hits the fan, it's the no atheists in foxholes kind of mentality, right?
But there's a lot of there. She's finding these devil symbols in the woods. She is consorting with this eyeless dude. She found Javi. Like, yeah. I wonder if there's something
I like how fluid it is.
Because there's like 4 queens and a deck of cards. There's 2 black, 2 red. And I think there's some interesting symmetry here with the 2 non-believing versus believing queens.
Who are the 2 jokers?
Javi and Travis.
Yeah, probably. And there was a 3rd joker, but they're going to eat him soon, so it doesn't matter.
It has the rules card. Coach Pin is the rules card.
That's so true. So true. All right, Lisa gives Nat her goldfish for the day. Nat asks Lisa why she forgave her for stabbing her in the face. Lisa says, suffering is inevitable, and only by meeting it with compassion can we truly begin to grow.
Very Zen Buddha stuff, her.
Yeah, she's taking it all in stride. I don't know. That feels like a line you tell yourself. The more enlightened portion of your brain is telling the monkey part of your brain to be quiet, because the monkey part just wants to stab her with a fork.
Right. And it, you stab her back, like, then where does that lead? Is she gonna want to stab you back? But like, meeting suffering with compassion is the true growth opportunity. I mean, I believe in, and it does seem like, imagine like if Lisa had given in and stabbed the shit out of Natalie and wounded her in the neck, and like, is she going to feel good about that? Like maybe in the first minute or two, but then like when she's walking the scene, her bit, and instead of being closer together and having these like they're further apart, like.
And she's talking about Natalie's suffering, right? Meeting her suffering with compassion, understanding that she stabbed me not because she hates me or because I did anything wrong, but because she's suffering. Yeah.
I wonder how because like there's also a limit. Like you can't, like, no life philosophy is complete into itself. Like if if suffering is inevitable, you meet suffering with compassion. Where does that, where does like self-defense come into that? If someone's trying to actively kill you, is the compassionate thing to save yourself and to save all the people that you love, the pain, or is like the compassionate thing to like, oh, this person's probably got a lot of shit going on, I should take the risk that they're going to hurt or maybe even kill me, rather than like, I don't know. And then you go to like the nation state level and it's like, but
I'm sure Pol Pot had some problems, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Are you gonna,
Hitler,
like, I don't know how you share with compassion.
I don't know how you confront National Socialism with compassion, but it is interesting. But like, for 99.9% of everybody, it's probably the way to go.
Yeah, it's a good starting point, certainly.
Yeah. It's never a bad time to like reach for the compassion tool for first. You can always let the lizard brain take over. You can always be like, all right, monkey, go. Here's a knife. Get in there. But it's hard to call him off once you've let him off the hook.
All right, 96. Shauna tries to breastfeed her baby, but it is not working. Nat thinks maybe it's because she's starving and can't make milk. It turns out it's just going to be an attitude thing. Of course, this is all fantasy anyway.
God, it's really stressful listening to this baby angry cry about being hungry.
Oh yeah.
And I was like already like, oh man, I hope her milk comes in, because
like, you don't know how many days it's been. You're like, can this kid survive much longer? Like,
yeah. And despite, I always get sucked into this shit. Despite myself, I'm like, this is the wilderness baby. Its lot in life is to go into the crock pot or die or to have some kind of terrible trauma happen and get don't get invested. I fucking do, man.
Yep. All right, let's go back to current day where Jeff is listening to "Fuck the Police" in the police department parking lot.
Yes.
Thaisa calls on Shauna's phone, which Jeff answers, and Ty leaves him with a message for Shauna that she's headed up to Lottie's Wellness Center. Jeff, man. Jeff kills me in this show. I love him so much. He's so bad at lying. He needs to stay as far away from this as possible. I know Shauna is not doing like the best job here, but
Right.
Jeff, when he's lying to Ty about where Shauna is, like she's in the bathroom and she's like, "Oh, well, I'll call back in a few." He's like, "Well, sometimes it takes a long time."
Yeah, she's in there a while sometimes, so you better leave me a message. It's like, dude.
Shauna would not want you saying this, A, if it were true, and B, it's obviously not true. You're making shit up.
Yeah. No,
He's so bad.
He's
So
like
hilarious.
I said, he means well. Maybe he is good compared to some people on the show, but he's just such a fuckboy. Like it's just such it's such a Jeff thing to do, to be sitting outside the police the police station where your wife and daughter are being interrogated and being like, yeah, blaring some NW, and you tell him.
And he's got a window down, but he's got the radio up just loud enough, and he's just far enough away from the PD that if a cop walks out,
right, they probably
not going to hear it.
No, yeah.
I love
This is him flexing over. What's his name? Kevin. Yeah, Kevin. At the gym. Yeah. He's can't help himself.
Also, does the team not like Jeff? I can understand why if they don't, but Ty hangs up on him like there's some animosity there between him and the girls.
Well, I mean, he did try to blackmail them all. Like they all know that.
You're
now,
right.
right?
I keep forgetting. That
I
Jeff
know,
is the
dude. I
blackmailer.
do too. It's surprisingly how frangible that idea is in my mind, because like sometimes I'll catch myself theory craft. I'm like, oh wait, no, I know who sent the goddamn things.
Right. Never mind.
It's because I think when I was rewatching it, it took me several episodes, and I'm still not convinced that goddamn it, who is her lover?
Adam.
I'm still not convinced that Adam wasn't in on it.
Yeah, there was something about him that made you think he was, for sure.
Yeah, and like,
they almost
I
did
feel
a
like
too
the
good
whole
a job selling that.
Right as she stabbed, like you're supposed to like, but it took me a couple episodes, and again, there's still sometimes I'll see the right theory and I'm like, I don't know about this Adam guy, maybe it is Avi, maybe it's the wilderness baby, but like I don't really believe that, but like there's something I think there.
All right, Misty asked Nat why she seems so weird, but kind of likes their celebrity reputation and the vibe at the compound. Rather than answer the question, she asked Misty, we're all like this, aren't we? And I think she's talking about like Misty dissembling over what happened with Walter. Like she can tell she's not getting the whole truth there. He didn't just go home. And she's just like, yeah, we all do this. We're all full of shit.
Yeah.
One other thing I noticed in this scene is Misty wearing the purple color of the cult in this scene. She's got this like white and either dark navy faded blue plaid pattern, or it's purple. It's like that faded purple color.
I also noticed that I think this is a big thing for Nat too, is because like I've seen her wear like flirt with joining the purple people cult, where she'll wear like a shawl that someone gives her or something like that, a cardigan, but she deliberately and purposefully puts on the full uniform by the end of this episode. And I think that's interesting.
Yeah, they're definitely winning her over.
Big Yellowjacket party, and I don't know, is that some kind of fault line too, that you've got the two girls that they're going to come in and they're just like fully accepted the Lottie? I keep on trying to put this in context of the Queen theory, where they, the winter, everything gets quiet, and then the spring emerges, and the queens come forth, and they do battle for hive supremacy. And now all the queens are coming back together at this place.
And it feels like it's drawing them here, right? Like,
or the honeycombs are running red with blood and Letty's premonitions. Yeah, that can't be good.
Yeah, especially as we approach the season finale here in a few more weeks.
So the other thing I don't think we talked about is like Walter has made a concerted effort to try to get a hold of her. Because he kind of like sped away from the scene, like fuck this crazy African gray lady and all that kind of, but like he is trying to reach out to her. He's texted her several times just from the missed notifications, and Misty's thinking about him. I miss Walter.
I do too. Yeah, I think Elijah Wood is gonna be back. I don't think he's gone for good, but like,
yeah,
I wonder if this is him attempting some more Moriarty shit, or if this is him trying to warn her of something, or what it is. I don't know, but I'm curious.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, the Misty's got to think about is like, well, if he's not fixated on you, what's to stop him from blowing the lid wide open on the Adam case as a citizen detective?
Does he have the evidence, I guess, is the question.
I mean, does anyone? Like, I mean, I'm
no,
just saying,
you
like,
need a
it's
body,
like,
really, but like
if he just starts continue to search through, financial records and looking at all the publicly available cameras that he can get, and like uses the full power of the internet and his citizen like, it just seems like a bad idea to let him. It seemed like an unforced error on Misty's part, but on the other hand, he was being a real creep. So, but she has a problem with people being creeps. She would just like co-opt the creep. Yeah, she'd out creep him. She'd co-opt the creep, run, figure out his scam, run it against him. But she just
is this a
let
creep
him.
She can't out creep. That's the possibility.
It's a control she's relinquishing over someone, and I think that's really interesting.
Or did he take it, and she's scared of that? Because every turn he seems to have one over on her.
That's true.
And she tries to put up a defense against it with stories about people's moms, but he checks in and he sees that they're false, and he might be better at out creeping. I don't know.
Seems like the story they're trying to tell, that he's potentially her equal. I mean, the whole Moriarty thing, that sets it all up.
Real quick, they go back to 1996, continuing to show Shauna trying to feed her baby, still not working. And then we come back to current day, where Matt interrogates Shauna and Kevin interrogates Callie. Matt works on Shauna by saying that she's a bad mom. Shauna puts on a teary-eyed performance admitting to an affair with Adam. And Kevin works on Callie by claiming that her mother is using her. And Callie responds by claiming that Officer Syracuse took her virginity. Kevin, okay. Let's start with the Shauna stuff.
Yes.
Clearly, Matt does not buy any of the shit. He calls her on it. He's like, yeah, that's amazing job, amazing work you just did. Not buying it. How about this Adam guy? We don't get to see the conclusions. We don't get to see the actual meat of these scenes, and I'm kind of frustrated by that, because when they come back to the car, I want to know exactly what's going on.
All right, but what we really want to talk about is Matt's weird ass balls, right?
How does Callie know about the weird ass balls?
Okay,
because you got to be able to back this up.
All right, so what's one option clearly is
she slept with him. Sure.
She's seen his balls. That she could describe them. I think it's interesting with the average. So, like, statistically speaking, half of all American men are below average in terms of, I don't know, testicles, dick, whatever. Like, just statistically speaking,
that's how
right?
it works. That's how statistics work, right?
And with our fixation on the size and impressiveness of other men, probably a lot of men who are solidly average, even above. I've seen guys with like 6.5, 7 inch dongs think they're small because they never looked at statistics and they watch too much porn. and I bet like there's a lot of guys who probably, because like our junk looks weird. If someone says like if like a girl if a girlfriend says at like is 16 or 17 that you got weird balls, you probably don't take off your pants in front of somebody for 20. It's like the equivalent of like you show me a girl who won't take her t-shirt off in bed, I'll show you someone whose boyfriend said you had weird nipples at one point. Like it's like one of those things where it's like it's not like you get to compare a lot of notes, so it's like, oh Jesus, maybe I do. I think that like she's making this kind of Hail Mary that like, yeah, he probably thinks his balls are weird. And
it's definitely a long shot here. And then a guy like that might have weird balls. I don't know.
And not to step on any law enforcement officers who are listening, but like, regardless of the truth, I think stereotypically, I imagine a person like Callie would think that a police officer would be more likely to be insecure in these kind of areas than others. Just because, if you're taking a career where you get a gun, you get to boss people around, whether it's true or not, common conception is that these are people who are trying to compensate for something, right? So I think it could be that he lost his mind and slept with her. But I think it's more likely that she's making a calculated psychological ploy on, you know, doing the percentages and looking at his job, looking at his fucking mustache, looking at his mullet, the whole presentation, the fact he and she's making a calculated play.
Gotcha. Here's a third possibility. She's very post hoc in her thinking, and she's declared this thing, and she's going to go make it true by like catfishing him on Tinder or something, getting him to send a picture of his balls to her, and then using that like being able to accurately describe them in court.
Because, like, I was thinking, oh, man, if he's a big enough idiot that after she's put it into his partner's head that she slept with him, she can seduce him. Like, he is like, Jesus Christ, what the hell? What the hell,
But what
man?
if she pretends to be
But if she, like, gets
else?
on Tinder and, like, gets an unsolicited dick pic from this guy or something where she can... But what if it backfires and she's like, God damn, this guy's balls are beautiful. I can't in good conscience say that this guy's got weird. Yeah.
And like, even if I did, no one would believe me. They would know I was lying because look at those balls.
And you might be thinking to yourself, listener, what would like beautiful balls look like? Hey, all you need to know is that Matt's got them. Like you've never seen them before until you see this man's paired. They're just perfect. They're perfect. No, that's a really good, that I like that. I like, because I do believe Matt is that big of a dumbass.
Well, yes, and there's that too.
That some hot girl messages him out of the blue a day after the thing, and then it's hot and heavy, and let me see your. And he's like, "Oh God, I was one message away from just sending it unbidden, but sure, here we go." Like,
right, and you know he's on Tinder. I mean, look at him.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah,
so,
but I just think I do think that like something shocking, like 75% of men, if they heard that somebody thought their balls looked weird, would just accept that unquestioningly.
All right.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's exploitable.
Fair. I can't tell how old he's supposed to be, because that's definitely like a thing that a young man would concern themselves with. I'm trying to think what would happen if somebody said I had weird balls. I'd probably be like, okay, dude, whatever.
But you're pretty self-possessed and assured, and you know, like a 40-year-old
I'm
man.
a 40-something-year-old man, so like,
not a cop.
I think if you told me that when I was 17, yeah, it would be a complex.
Sure.
But I don't know how old he's supposed to be. Like, 28?
I just don't think this guy seems like he is self-possessed, and you know, he's smug, but that's not the same as self-confident.
He's pretty sure of himself and his investigative.
And is he successful with women or what? Yeah, that's the thing, because like you can have like, how many times have you seen beautiful people have really weird hangups about it? Sometimes it's even worse for beautiful people. But and this guy's not beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
certainly not his balls. They're weird.
A lot of people would say he's good looking, but he just looks to me. Like
he's got, you know,
I don't like him.
People talk about punchable faces. This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I don't know if he's got resting punchable face, but when he thinks he's got a spider or a fly in his spider web, he's, oh my God, he really cranks it up.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to 96.
Well, wait a second. Also, we never really talked about we got so into the weird balls, we never talked about the rest of, like, you mentioned that you thought that Shauna was making up. I actually think everything she said here was true about...
Yeah. About like her non-desire to like be married to Jeff and having kid and all this stuff. That's true.
There's a verbal trick that they play here.
Okay.
Where she says, you don't want to have a kid to save marriage, that you got out of guilt and shame. And she goes, but then there's another one where she goes, and you can't love either of them, but you do. It's certainly possible she's talking about the husband she married and her child, but is it possible she's talking about the 2 children she's had?
Yeah.
And it works whether you believe that the wilderness baby is dead, or if there's like some kind of like, well, let's wait till we get to later in the episode to talk about the other possibility.
All right. Yeah, we're going to 96 again. Shauna wakes to find Lottie breastfeeding her baby. Shauna takes that personally. He needs to feed. You'll understand soon enough. What is Lottie talking about? Because this is all happening in Shauna's head.
It's all happening in Shauna's head.
You'll understand. Is she
talking about
enough.
Coach Ben? Because we talk about him being hungry. We talk about Javi. We're talking about Travis. Right. There's only so many he's we got going on here. Is it it? Is it the cabin? Is it the hunter?
Yeah, it could be the darkness,
the darkness,
the power, the gods of that place. I don't know.
I feel like they always either make that gender neuter or it's explicit of feminine energy though.
Do they? Okay.
I never heard them refer to a wilderness as he.
Mm-hmm.
But
I couldn't tell you what she's talking about exactly. But
yeah, it is creepy. Like,
we'll see.
Lottie stealing Shauna's baby bread. That's was fucking creepy.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm surprised the other girls are going along with it.
This is where you should start to realize, hey, maybe there's something less than grounded and real about these scenes.
Yeah, and it's especially since like all of these scenes are like at the threshold of consciousness. Like, Shauna's kind of asleep, waking up, hearing things out of a dream. Yeah, it's like there's on second watch, it's very easy to catch the kind of liminal nature of these scenes.
Yep. All right, back to current day. Shauna goes back out to the car. Jeff freaks out when she tells him how it went and sees that she has a gun in the glove box. And he relays Thais's message, tells Shauna that she should go up to the wellness center. I think he thinks she's going to go up there and like actually get some help, which or at least stay out of the investigation.
Yeah, I was trying to think especially on second watch, does he actually think that Lottie can help, or is he just like, this is so fucked that you just got to get out of here? Because she's at this point, she's done a lot of like, every time he tries to broach the subject, she just throws back to, well, you blackmail, you dumbass, this is actually your fault. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, fine. But Jesus, like, can we talk about like what I fucked up lately versus you driving with a criminal's gun in your glove compartment to a police interrogation? Like, at some point, like, okay, yeah, I get it. I fucked up with Randy, but holy shit, you got to get out of here. But it also frustrated me because, like, if you want to look max suspicious to any local cops, get the fuck out of their jurisdiction while you're a person of interest. Like, that's not going to reduce the heat on you. Extremely suspicious. Oh, hey, Kevin. Oh, no, Shauna, she went upstate with all of her Yellowjacket friends. Yeah, they're circling the wagons. That just doesn't look... Yeah, but, I mean, they're playing this game of what makes her look guilty and what can they prove, right? And that's what it comes down to. If they can't prove that she left because she's got something to hide, then she just kind of went on a vacation or retreat, you know? It's the same with Callie, right? Like, and Callie just explicitly says it, like, who are they going to believe? Right. So Callie comes back and says that she used her mom's idea and the cops are scared shitless. That is not the impression I got from that scene. Now, I need you to tell me what's your impression, especially from Kevin, because we don't get to see Jay/Matt's expression. But like, what do you don't think Kevin's buying this at any level? So the sequence here is interesting. So Callie starts in on like, I was a virgin and he whatever. Kevin looks at her and takes away the Kleenex, which she would use to dry her eyes, right? Because she's sad and because he offers them when she starts it up. Yeah. Right. And then he takes those away and he says something that to me, I can't remember the exact words he used, but to me said he does not believe this at all. He's not buying it. And then she says the thing about the weird balls and who are they going to believe? So I want to know what happens after that. Does his demeanor change? Does he buy it at that point? Yeah, the taking Kleenex away, but you're right. You need to see, because if his face falls when he says weird ball, when she says weird balls, right? Like, goddamn, I've seen his balls. She's totally right. Yeah, I mean, you know, the stereotypical. They got the shower. It's like a high school locker back there. They got the communal. Every cop has seen every other cop's balls for sure. Oh yeah. You can't. It's part of the fraternal order of police joining process. It's like, all right, induction hazing. Pay your dues. Now drop your trowel. I've got to see. I've got to see what you're working with. Okay. So my God, O'Malley, this man has got the most beautiful balls I've ever seen. You'll be a captain someday, kid. Oh yeah, he's got captain material, big captain material. It's like how smooth and perfect they are, like peaches, 2 peaches. So yeah, I definitely need to see Kevin's face, but they don't show it. They stick on Callie here. So I don't know. And Callie has misjudged them several times already. And she's a kid. Like,
yeah, what does she know? So
yeah.
I couldn't
But
tell
also,
you, man.
Matt's, it looks like a huge creep. And I think a jury would buy. His lawyer needs something to shave that
Especially when
mustache.
she tells him how they met, and he has to admit, yeah, we met. I was off duty
while I was casing
in a bar,
her.
chasing down a hunch. I bought her a drink.
Right. Yeah, because the 16-year-old was making eyes at me. She was sexually advancing on me. Yeah,
and yes, I knew how old she was because I had done my research on their family, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it don't look good. It don't look good. But so you and I both are like 0% that he actually had sex with her.
Yeah, the way he reacted in the bowling alley to her wanting to kiss him, yes.
I agree. I think so too.
Let me say this. Is there a possibility that the cops actually flipped Callie in this scene? And that she has come back saying they're scared shitless when in fact she's now working for them.
And that's why they didn't show it to us. There is a good yes.
Because Kevin did not buy that.
Very non-zero chance, Jim. Yes, that's a good. I like that. I like that a lot.
We'll see.
Oh my God, Callie's a triple agent.
Uh-huh. All right, Nat almost murders Lisa's goldfish, but thinks better of it at the last second.
Before we move, I will say that I'm a little prejudiced against the idea because they're showing her as Shauna's child, and like I don't. Mm-hmm. But then Shauna kind of she didn't, like Misty baked her a whole fucking cake that said don't talk, you want your lawyer, right? And she messed up the most, so like maybe. But yeah, I like Shauna, and Shauna's a real ball buster, like, tough, not going to put herself in a stupid compromised position. And I think they're telling that of Callie too, but like, is that even true of Shauna? Or is she only like, how many times can she storm into an illegal chop shop with her housewife self and walk out of there upright and breathing? Like, is that just like
right? She's out of control. Like she's and doing things now to feel. And
she recognizes it. Yeah, she's careening from. She's doubling down on choices that are. So yeah, I like it. The only reason I don't is because I might have believed something about Shauna that's not even true.
Yeah. You want to say anything about Nat almost murdering the goldfish?
I mean, why?
I think this whole scene is to show that some of this Lottie stuff is working on her.
Compassion, she said, because like she's watching this fish suffocate and she just can't do it.
That's the suffering she's meeting with compassion. Yeah. And I don't know that Nat of old, like Nat is a very destructive force in her own life.
Sure.
And this feels like a very Nat moment that she would kill this goldfish to just blow up her and somebody else's life for the fuck of it. And the fact that she doesn't, I think, is just trying to tell us that she's buying into some of this stuff and it's actually working on her. But then we go back to 96. Shauna has a heart-to-heart with her baby and it begins to feed miraculously. She's super happy. Nat comes in to give her some tea, witnesses this whole event, but Shauna asked her not to tell the others. She agrees. I was wondering what Nat was thinking in this scene, but it all is pointless because Nat's not real.
It is interesting to think about, like, why today you have to have Nat come in and see the miracle and her, sir, I just want this for me. Is it just like, to me, these are the little scenes that make it your first time through believe that it's still like, this is just happening. It's not a dream sequence.
I wonder if this is telling us who Shauna trusts. The fact that Nat comes in here, she's one of the only people who's not chanting and praying over her,
right? And she is the most unaligned with the Lottie other than herself, for sure,
right? That's and so her point. Seeing her here and getting the tea from her and asking her not to tell the others, I think is showing that she trusts Nat above everyone else.
I do know that this is the scene where I started thinking, I wonder if that interview with the police was double talk, because like she's essentially telling this kid like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't want you, blah, blah, blah. Like, hey, you're here and I love you and I don't want you to die and I want to see what's going to come of you and how we're both going to be fine. And it's also setting up this kid is Hope with a capital H, and it dies this episode. And I think I'm pretty sure I saw an interview, a reference from the showrunners and from the cast and crew talking about like this is the episode that's like at the top of the roller coaster hill where everything just kind of drops off and gets fucking crazy, which has already been a pretty insane season. So pretty exciting. Mm-hmm. Death of Hope, completely off the rails. Yellowjackets, late season 2. Let's go.
I will say if this is trying to tell us that Shauna trusts Nat, then I don't know why they're having her eat her baby along with the other girls, but you know, they're all cannibals. So
yeah.
Anyway, current day, Van and Ty arrive at the compound and see Shauna drive in. They follow her up the drive and they all meet up with Nat and Misty. And Van feels something when she sees Lottie by the lake. They do this big shot where they pull out and show it a bird's eye view of the wellness center, and the grounds are arranged in the symbol.
So this is Nat coming out in her full purple gear. I think it's interesting that Lottie is wearing this royal blue color that I saw show up a lot. There's this little blue cup that is identified with the baby. They wrap the baby in a royal blue blanket. There's this like very particular shade of blue that keeps coming up in this episode, and I don't know, like we've gotten in some color theory and like Mad Men and Breaking Bad. I don't know if it'll be a continuous thing, but it's just something I noticed in looking at themes and stuff, and I wonder if they're trying to do something with because I definitely seen that Lottie's color has shifted from like warmer tones to more cooler tones. Lottie's wardrobe.
Interesting.
She was like in like reds and oranges and yellows, and now she's in. And I don't know, is that purple like an in between there? I don't know.
Couldn't tell
but
you
yeah,
what
Van
about.
was taken. Like she is in. Like there is a thing that happens there that I cannot explain.
No, I can't either. But I imagine
like
we'll
a force
get more of it
between
next time. We kind of talked about the wellness center arrangement, so not too much to go over there.
And it's like a real bolt of blue too, because she goes from making a joke about what a cult this is, like keep your eyes peeled for black and white, and she's fully intended to just peace out, and then she sees Lottie and everything, just all of her bullshit just drops, and she's just ready to worship. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, sees her by the lake
from a distance, back turned.
Yeah, it might. I mean, that cabin is pretty close to the lake, right? Out in the wilderness.
Everything's pretty close.
So this might have like brought her back, like almost like Coach is being transported back to another time, potential past. This might have brought her back in that way.
Yeah.
All right. Everything we saw before with Shauna trying to feed her baby, and this scene here of all the girls eating her baby, all of that's a dream. None of that happened. Shauna wakes up, finds out that her baby died during birth, and claims that she can still hear him crying. Wonders why the rest of them can't. Yeah, I don't know. We talked about this a lot in the intro, but I get why this makes a lot of sense with the Lottie group dynamic here. Little disappointing to me though, because I'm looking for the really fucked up stuff they're going to do. So this is about the best way that baby could have gone.
This might be the gateway to it, that like, everyone is looking forward to this as a hope, as a way, as a symbol of like, life going on, and of something new and unequivocally good happening, and it's more terrible shit. So like, if
we're at the top of the roller coaster and that baby was not strapped in and that baby just went flying out, this is where things get really fucked up. Yeah.
Right. Got ejected at the first loop to loop.
Don't take your babies on roller coasters. It's not a good idea.
Yeah. Do you think so? Like, is there anything? They also pointedly didn't show us the baby. Maybe it's because of its good taste. There's also another mirror theory is God, who is the yellow jacket? Is it Mara that is hearing the dripping water and no one else can hear it?
Mari?
Is it Mari? There's an interesting juxtaposition where Shauna is saying that she can hear her baby crying and no one else can hear it. Is there?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, like if you got the mirror that's like, that they're living in the timeline where all bad things happen, is like the veil so close that she can just hear the better timeline. But you'd think the better timeline, they wouldn't be in the wilderness.
Oh, yeah. There's no good
I guess she'd still
timeline
be
in the
pregnant.
wilderness.
She'd still be pregnant. So maybe she's hearing her and Jeff decide to have the baby and she's hearing it from another lifetime away. I don't know. It's super interesting that you're having two characters claiming to hear something that's obvious and no one else can hear it. I think that's got to mean something.
Yeah, I would think so. But I don't know what. We'll find out next episode, hopefully.
Oh, like Jim says, that'll do it for this week. We'll have to see what happens next. We will be back later in the week for a feedback episode because, again, we continue to go long in these episodes and people continue to send us in more feedback. So we're gonna have a special feedback edition out sometime later this week. If you'd like to send in your thoughts to us at any time, Yellowjackets@baldmove.com is the place you want to do that. If you want to find out what else we're doing, because, man, we're doing a lot. We got a special premium podcast. We're going to be talking about Silo, Miss Davis, and Ted Lasso. We just got done watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You can check that out if you want to hear our thoughts. But if you want to know what we're doing other than Yellowjackets, it's easy. Go to twitter.com/baldmove. We post our schedule and all of our releases over there. And if you'd like to support us in what we're doing here at Bald Move, we encourage you to do so. Support.baldmove.com. You can join the club. It's an easy way to get ad-free feeds, more bonus content like that OTC we talked about. And yeah, just keep us podding podcasts. Yellowjackets@baldmove.com is feedback for the show. Thank you very much for listening to us. We will see how things go as we go down the roller coaster hill starting next week. Until then, I'm A.Ron.
And I'm Jim.
See ya.